Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to talk about something that I think anyone playing Mongil Stardive needs to know, especially if you're stuck on fusion combos or don't know where to farm materials properly. I've spent quite a bit of time figuring out this system, and there's actually a very useful database that the community has been talking about a lot. I'll go into detail about it later, but first let me explain why today's video is so important. The biggest problem most players run into, including myself at the beginning, is that the game doesn't clearly show where things drop. You need a specific material, you go into the game to look for it, but there's nothing telling you this boss drops this, that boss drops that. The same goes for fusion combos. You have a bunch of Monsterlings in your inventory, you try combining randomly, and the result is burning resources without getting any mutant you actually want. I've done that before, and I can say it's very costly. The ZeroLuck database basically solves both of those problems. They've cataloged 165 Monsterlings, 56 fusion combos, more than 338 items, along with a fusion calculator, maps, equipment recipes, and the source of each material. This is exactly the kind of external wiki that I think Mongil really needs, because the game doesn't provide this information. So now let's get into the most important part first, which is the Monsterling combining system. I want to clearly explain 3 rules that, if you understand them, will save you a lot of resources. Rule number 1, combining does not always give you a mutant. This is the biggest misconception. Mutation only appears when you use the correct pair, and it also depends on the rate shown before you press combine. That means if you go into the combine screen and see a low mutation rate or nothing displayed, failing is completely normal, and when you fail, the game usually only returns one of the 2 parents, not both. Painful? Very painful. Rule number 2, many Monsterling pairs do not create any mutant at all. Not every pair has a recipe, so trial and error inside the game is extremely risky because you don't know whether that pair can even produce a mutant, and you just keep burning resources. Rule number 3, and this is the one I really want to emphasize, always check the recipe before you combine. The fusion calculator on ZeroLuck shows you which pair gives what result and roughly what the success rate is, instead of you guessing in the dark. I'm not exaggerating, it completely changed the way I approach this part of the game. Now let's talk about a detail that I see many other videos completely ignore, which is trait locking using premium salmon puree. This is for players who already understand the basics of fusion and want to go deeper. When you combine and get a mutant with a good trait, you'll want to keep that trait as you continue upgrading or combining. And to do that, you need to lock the trait. Specifically, locking 1 trait costs 5 premium salmon puree, while locking 2 traits costs 10. This item is obtained through the Rift shop. The question I'm sure many of you are wondering is, should you spend puree early? My honest answer is no. This is an endgame material, so you should fully understand which Monsterling you want to keep traits on before using it. Don't rush. Next, I want to talk about how to use Monsterlings in the right slot and the right role, because even if you have a database showing what each fusion combo gives, using them incorrectly makes it meaningless. I've realized that slot 1 should prioritize Monsterlings with Chainlink or Conquest Boss Monsterlings, while the 2 subslots should focus on always-on stats, meaning buffs that don't require any special conditions to activate. More importantly, you need to choose the correct scaling type for your character. For example, if your character is a DPS, then you should prioritize attack-type Monsterlings. It sounds simple, but I see a lot of players skip this step, randomly equip a blue or purple one, and then wonder why their damage doesn't increase. And speaking of common mistakes, here are 3 that I see the most. First, using blue or higher rarity as fodder by mistake. If you are batch combining without locking your good ones first, it's very easy to accidentally burn a Monsterling you wanted to keep. Second, not checking the main stat before deciding to keep one. Before you use or keep a Monsterling, check whether it has the right attack, defense, or HP stat. Third, not locking good Monsterlings before batch combining. It sounds basic, but when you're doing multiple things at once, it's very easy to forget. Now, I want to be honest about something because I don't want you to watch this video and walk away with the wrong expectations. RNG in Mongil is very real and very harsh. You may have to deal with multiple layers of randomness stacked on top of each other. Boss drop rates are already low, then mutation can fail, and if you don't lock traits, trait transfer can also fail. Not to mention, when re-rolling traits with material traits turned off, the chance of getting a good roll is also very low. I'm saying this directly because I don't want you to think that having a database makes everything guaranteed. The database helps you farm in the right direction, but it doesn't remove RNG. It only reduces waste. And in my opinion, that alone is already a huge value. One more piece of advice for new players or those who haven't been playing for long. Don't rush into trait farming from day one just because this database is useful. I see a lot of people make this mistake. They see a powerful tool and want to use it immediately, then end up burning all their resources too early. Focus on the main quest first, pick up materials along the way, and claim rewards from the guidebook and events. Trait farming is endgame content. You'll have time to do it later once you have a solid foundation. ZeroLuck is very powerful, but you need to use it at the right time. Finally, besides the item and fusion database, ZeroLuck.gg also has a tier list. I want to briefly talk about this. Their tier list will be updated over time, so you can check it regularly. However, I don't fully agree with every ranking they provide, and you should only treat it as a reference, not something you must follow. Tier lists depend on many factors like the current meta, the content you're playing, and your own build. Don't let a tier list completely decide your lineup. All right, that covers everything important for today. From properly understanding the fusion combo system, the 3 core rules you need to know, trait locking with premium salmon puree, how to use monsterlings in the correct slots, an efficient material farming loop, and important notes about RNG so you don't get the wrong expectations. If this video helped you, leave a like, it really helps me a lot. And if you have any questions about any part of the game, feel free to comment below. I'll reply when I can. See you in the next video.